Alright, hi guys. I'm going to be doing my first monthly recap YouTube video, and I'm just going to go over all the books that I read this September. So I read 6 books in September, all right here in front of me. The first book that I read was Shatter by Tahereh Mafi. I had really high expectations for this book, and I'm not sure if they were met. I rated it 4 stars. I did enjoy the book, it just took me a while to get into because, I know that's kind of part of her writing, was to be a little sporadic just because that's the way Juliet felt, was like she didn't know what was going on and she felt crazy in her own mind. But it was just a little hard for me to read because of that. But I did really like the plot line. It just, like I said, it just took me a while to get into, so it wasn't the easiest book for me to read. Heard so many good things about this series as a whole, and everyone says the first one's a little hard to read, but once you get into it, you're really gonna like it. So I have higher hopes for the rest of the series. The next book that I read was Unravel, and I liked this one better than the first one, but it still didn't live up to the hype, I don't think. It was just very slow moving for me. It took me a while to get into this one too. I also did end up really enjoying it by the end of it. So I gave Unravel 4 stars as well. So 4 stars for both of these. I'm hoping that somewhere in this series I will find a 5-star read, but it's just not either of these, unfortunately. But I did really like this one. The big old twist. I don't know if it was like that big of a twist, but it was a big twist to me. I'm not gonna spoil it for anybody, but there was one point where I literally like had to close my book and I was like, and I scared my mom because she was sitting next to me when I was reading, and she was like, "What?" I said, "Sorry, plot twist." So, it gets you. You get into it. It's just, like I said, it's just a little slow moving, and I didn't really like it as much as I expected I was going to. I don't know. I really wanted to give these books 5 stars just because I've heard so much, like, amazing things about them. And it's like the whole plot and, like, the genre is right up my alley. I love dystopian stuff. I love, like, enemies to lovers. I love all those things, but it's just not really working for me the way that I thought it was going to, which I'm a little disappointed about. But like I said, I did enjoy them. Just they weren't 5-star reads for me like everybody kind of said they were going to be. I'm planning on reading the rest of the series soon, so I'm hoping that eventually I will get like really into it and I will find a 5-star read in it, and maybe I'll rate the whole series as a whole 5 stars. What I do a lot is, like, even if there's books in a series that I don't completely love, just like the series as a whole and those characters and those storylines, I'll rate 5 stars. Just like thinking back to those stories as a whole collection is like a 5-star read to me, but just individually split up, sometimes they aren't. I would say like the best example of this is probably, honestly, Akatar. First one was iffy. I really liked it, but I didn't like get fully into the series until the second one. Third one was a little like slow moving for me, but I also loved it. A Court in Frost and Starlight, is that it? A Court of Frost and Starlight, the novella. That one I just think was kind of pointless, but then I loved A Court of Silver Flames. And just like looking back at that series as a whole, that is a 5-star series to me. I love these characters, I love this setting, I love the plot, I love everything about them as a whole, but individually, it's just like, if I just look at them as like different units, they're not all 5 stars. If that makes any sense. I just went on a tangent, but anyway. The next book I read after that was The Stranger Upstairs by Lisa M. Matlin. I got this as my book of the month, and I was really excited for it because I was like, ooh, first of all, I absolutely love this cover. I think it's gorgeous. And I read like the blurb thing. I was like, oh, this sounds right up my alley to like get ready for spooky season and stuff. But it just wasn't really it for me. There was a lot of missing things, I guess. I don't know. It just felt very rushed. The ending was just a little disappointing because there was supposed to be like, I don't know. I thought it was going to be like this huge plot twist, but then I was like, oh, that's it. Like, okay. I was just a little disappointed, but I did like her writing. I just wish we kind of like got to know more of the characters better, because everyone else was just like a complete side plot. There was barely any conversations in this, really. That kind of made it hard for me to go in with like the whole mystery aspect of it, because I was like, I don't know enough about these people to like guess who could be like messing with her or anything. But like there wasn't enough details, I guess. But it is a very short book and it was entertaining. I would recommend this if you want just like a quick fun read. It didn't really like stand out as anything like that crazy special to me. I always feel bad saying bad things about books. I always feel so bad. I just didn't like it. Sorry. Next. Read The Deal. Finally. I've had this book on my shelf for probably 5 years and I just never picked it up. I remember trying to read it once, like 3 years ago, and I just read the first chapter and I was like, this is boring, and then I put it away. I finally decided I own the entire Off-Campus series and I hadn't read a single one of them, but I have all of them up here behind me. I was like, you know, maybe I should finally like get into these for the first time. And I loved it. I gave this one 5 stars. I really liked this book. It was a very pleasant surprise to me. I flew through this thing. I think Hannah and Garrett are so sweet. I love a good like slow burn. And I normally hate a third act breakup, but theirs I was okay with because they still loved each other kind of thing. And it like wasn't really up to them, I guess. So I was okay with their third act breakup because there wasn't like, no one did anything wrong. And I just like was like rooting for them the entire time. Sorry if that was a spoiler. I don't know. That just happens in most contemporary romance books, so I'm assuming everybody would have assumed that something like that was gonna happen. But I really liked them. I loved the characters, like all their friends. This kind of reminded me of Icebreaker, where it was like found family with the friends, and like I just love a good friend group of people that just like actually have respect for each other, because I haven't seen that much in my life. I just like aspire to have friends like this. I think it's really sweet how much they cared about each other and like rooted for each other. And this was just a very like feel good, happy book for me. I couldn't think of anything wrong with it, so 5 stars. Okay, next. This book, guys. 5 stars to start off. I understand why people think it's hard to read and like hard to get through. I haven't seen a lot of people rate the first book as 5 stars, but they've rated other books in the series later on. But I loved it. I think it's just the castle setting. I will read anything if it's set in a castle. It just makes me feel so happy, and it reminds me of all the books that I read when I was a kid, because a lot of them were like fantasy fairy tales, and even though this definitely is not a fairy tale, it kind of felt like it, just because it's like she has to live in the castle, oh, with the prince and the guard. Like, I don't know, I love the vibes. I love anything fantasy. I would say this is a good introduction into fantasy for anyone that like wants to start getting into it, because the world building isn't that difficult, at least in the first one. I don't know what to expect with the rest of everything, but it's very easy to follow and understand. You start to love the characters. There's some politics in it, but it's not like crazy. I think it's a good, very mild fantasy, like I said, as an introduction for someone who wants to get into it. So I don't know about the whole series. Like I said, I've only read the first one, but I think it would be a good place for other people to start. And I've seen a lot of people reading it recently, which is making me really excited that I can go on like my Bookstagram and stuff and have friends that are reading it at the same time as me, because then I can talk to them about it. And I haven't really had that because I've always been kind of behind on books. I feel like I'm always late to the game. I don't know, I'll just read like the most random stuff on like Kindle Unlimited, or like I'll reread books for the 10th time, and then I have this endless TBR of like insanely popular books that it takes me forever to get to. And this was one of those. Like I said, same with The Deal. That was on my shelf for 5 years, and it's been popular since I was probably in high school. Like, they're using flip phones in this, I'm pretty sure. So that shows you how old this book was. Yeah, no, Thorn of Glass was amazing. I can't wait to see what happens next. I've read the first 2 chapters of Crown of Midnight. It took me a while to try to figure out what order I was gonna read them, but I have had a couple people suggest to me to read Crown of Midnight and then Assassin's Blade. And then we'll see what happens later down the road. I don't know if I'm gonna do the tandem read with whatever those 2 that you do that with is. We will see. Time will tell. And the last book that I read, I made a TBR jar, because like I said, there's books that I just put off even though I've wanted to read them forever. I just like always find something else to read instead. So I made a TBR jar of anything on my physical TBR, anything that I have on my like want to read on Kindle, literally any book I want to read, and I think there's over like 300 things in there. But the first one I drew was a success. I pulled out Immortal Beings. I think that's what it's called.
Editing Sarah here. It's not called that, it's called Heavenly Bodies. Continue.
I don't remember. That book It's like top 3 for me right now. That is one of the most amazing books I've ever read in my life. I felt so many emotions. I cried. I like slammed my book shut because I was so mad at one of the characters. I like literally felt heartbreak. Like, you know when you go through a breakup and you just think and you just get like this like surge of pain? I felt that by reading this book. I've never been like so connected to a storyline, and it's so good. I don't want to like spoil too much, but it's a fantasy book about like this princess. She has to run away from her kingdom because a star took it over, and the stars in this world they're kind of like the Greek gods and goddesses, where they just like rule the world and everybody worships them and everything, but some of them aren't the best, and this god goes and like destroys the princess's kingdom, so she has to run away from it, and then she goes to a like neighboring kingdom and stays there and makes friends and has a little tension with the prince there. Like I said, I love anything in a castle. Forced proximity between a prince and someone. Oh my god, I love it. And that's exactly what this was. And they all have like special powers, and you just have to read it. Like, I can go on and on about this book, and I might do like a full review that has spoilers in it. Right now this is completely spoiler free, but I have never felt that way reading. There's so many twists, so much just like shock, so much action. Honestly, this might be my new favorite book of all time. Thank you, TBR jar. I would have never read it if I didn't pull it out. That's been on my TBR for a while. I saw like a TikTok recommending it or something, so I just put it on there. I was like, yeah, I'll get to this whenever. And then I pulled it out of the jar, and now my life is changed for the better. So I think I'm gonna keep it up with the TBR jar. I probably won't get lucky and have that happen again for a little bit, but 5 stars, obviously. 5 stars all the way for that one. That was everything that I read. I feel like I didn't really read that many books this month, but they were all kind of longer books. They weren't that long, but I've also been very busy. I don't know. I normally read like 10 books a month, but I only read 6 this month. I also think that's because I didn't listen to any audiobooks this month, because I've been getting like back into podcasts. So I guess, yeah, I normally do listen to like 4 audiobooks a month, so that makes sense. I need to speed it up because I am 7 books behind on my schedule for my reading goal on Goodreads, and there's only 3 months left in the year. Today is October 1st. I'm cutting it close, and I'm 7 books behind. I'm at 67 out of 100. So maybe I'll switch back to audiobooks instead of podcasts. Yeah, so stay tuned. I've been working on a lot of stuff for this YouTube channel. I know I started it a while ago and then just kind of left it be and like I haven't posted anything in a long time, but I want to get back into this. I think it's so much fun just being able to sit here and talk about the books that I love and books that I don't love. I want to find a community on here, and I think this is the perfect place to do it, perfect time in my life to do this. And I'm just really excited, so stay tuned. I have a couple more fun videos that I've been filming. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to support me, you can like, comment, you can subscribe. You can go follow me on all my social media is at RealMcCoyReads with 2 S's on the end. You can follow my blog at realmccoyreads.com. And yeah, that's it for today. All right, bye guys.